Guys, it's a sad day in the FPS community. XDefiant's final day of the beta is today, and I couldn't be more sad. I honestly loved the beta. It was so much fun. It was everything I expected it to be, with a little extra. We'll get into that. As far as the community goes, the community has really enjoyed the beta, and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's get right into it. I'm Kid Covert. You guys are the viewer. You guys already knew that. Let's go. Alright guys, to start off the video, we're going to talk about this little piece right here. Can XDefiant dethrone Call of Duty? And to that, I'm going to say, I'm sorry.
To absolutely nobody!
Now, I can't tell you for sure. We're going to get into that, but let's talk about the beta first. First off, the beta was so much fun, and I'm sure you've heard that everywhere, and I'm going to break down the good parts, the bad parts, and what I think XDefiant really needs to do to continue with its momentum to have a successful launch and a successful lifespan. Starting off, as I've said many times before, the game is so much fun. The game plays really well. The maps have a good flow. The game modes are fun. The weapons feel really nice. They feel really smooth. It's reminiscent of old school Call of Duty, and that's where the whole conversation of will kill Call of Duty comes in. If you enjoyed old school Call of Duty, there's a very high chance that you can enjoy this game. Despite it being a beta, we understand that, there's going to be choppiness and bugs and things like that. We'll get into that in the bad. Ultimately, what it boils down to is the game is fun. The game modes, everything, just really come together in a nice package that make for a really good time. The biggest takeaway from the beta, I feel, is the communication. That was the best thing about it. And XDefiant could really win off of just communication alone. The way that they communicated everything to the community when it came to bugs, things the community didn't like, changes, they were really open and honest about it. And just to give a few examples, there was a progression bug where we weren't able to progress through the levels, and as a fix, within the same day, they just unlocked everything for everybody. That was such a good fix. They really listened to the community. On top of that, they really want to get their feedback on everything within the game, so they allowed us to play with everything in the game. So you know that they're serious about this game. You know that they're really pulling out all stops to make sure that this game is really going to be successful. And I'm so happy to see that. I'm so happy to see like a passionate group of designers into this game. Mark Rubin is doing such a good job. The XDefiant team is doing such a good job. I'm honestly loving the communication. I'm sure everybody is, because there was almost never a time that XDefiant or Mark Rubin weren't answering questions or providing updates on the beta. In addition to that, the beta was extended 2 days because of the server issues that we had in the beginning. Again, we're going to go into the bad. Again, we're going to mention that in the bad later and just give a little more in depth of, what happened if you weren't there. Next up, we had the creator class. The creator class was really well done. It felt like a mix between Call of Duty's new gunsmith system as well as their old Pick 10 system. What really shines through of the creator class, the loadout system of what they brought to the table, was not only showing percentages of the benefits and detriments to each attachment, but there's also a tab that you go to for a more detailed explanation of what it's changing. It really boiled down to the spread that you have in terms of hip fire and recoil, ADS time, down to the millisecond, sprint time, sprint out time, all those things. If you really want to focus, write down with a pen and pad what everything was going to change, you could. It gave you every detail and every bit of knowledge for you to make the best decision based on your playstyle, which is a very good accidental segue into what I'm going to talk about next. The game allows you to play every playstyle that you want. If you want to camp, you can camp. It is a bit harder than it is to do in Call of Duty. Not throwing shade, it's just it is what it is. But you could run a gun, you could snipe, you could shotgun, you could camp. There's everything you can do. Allowing the hashtag GameStop power to the player stuff, that always works. Allowing the player to play the game as they see fit will allow them to have as much fun as possible, and I love that they're putting the player first. Next up, we're going to talk about their esports. They've been showing off some showcases with some old streamers and old CDL pros like Crimsick and Hatchies, which for one is really entertaining to watch. On top of that, it shows that they're really going to pull out all stops in terms of their esports, and with the way that the game plays, very objective based, team based, I know for a fact the esports side is going to be super fun to watch. It's going to be very, very entertaining. I hope that it also has a very big following the way CDL does or VCT does. And if you haven't checked out or know what I'm talking about, check it out. It's really a good watch. It gives you more in-depth of what the game is and how well it can be played. It gives you a really good idea of the skill gap that can happen in this game. Next up on the list, no SBMM, no skill-based matchmaking. Ping is king. Need I say more? No, because we all know SBMM makes it so hard to deal with. You could play casual, you could pup stomp, you get stomped on, you brush it off, you find the next game. It's just pure fun because no two games are really ever the same. Now, one thing I really liked is that there was a lot of personalization, customization in the game. There was a battle pass that allowed you to get some weapon skins, some emotes, or emoji reactions I should say, calling card, a player of the game background, things like that. This was a beta. You don't see things like this in a beta, but it shows that they're really pulling out all stops to make sure every bit and piece is gonna work for the full launch of the game. It's very refreshing and exciting to see that I really can't wait until the full release of this game. Lastly, the movement. The movement's a really big part of this game and why that it's so popular. It has a very smooth movement. It has chain movement as well. You could jump into a slide into a jump, slide, reload, jump, slide, kick, punch. No, I'm kidding. You could do so much things. There are movement gods in the game, so be careful with that. It does make the game more enjoyable to be able to maneuver, get around, and move as you please and move as you want. Personally, I didn't feel like there was a meta movement. I feel that if you play as comfortable as you are playing, then you'll be successful in this game. Alright guys, we're going to move into the bad. Now the bad doesn't have much because the game was as enjoyable. Because the game was so enjoyable. But the worst thing was the netcode. And I'm not going to spend too much time on the netcode because Mark Rubin and Ubisoft, they're already aware of the netcode issue. They already have one in the works for the full release of the game. I just wish that they waited a little bit so we could really experience the full netcode and give that one a test. Who knows how long that was going to take? Not me. So in Mark Rubin we trust. I just hope that we get another beta with the updated netcode and all the issues that I personally had when it came to shooting player models that weren't there, getting shot around corners, or really not understanding what's going on because one, I don't have the best internet, so that kind of sucked for me, but it made it a bit harder. I can't wait to see what the new netcode is going to look like, what the game is going to feel like with the new netcode. Now this one was really frustrating. The factions weren't balanced. The two factions that I feel had the biggest impact on the game was the Libertad faction and the Cleaners faction. Now Libertad, that was the healing faction. Really, they could heal themselves so quick. If you had somebody down to like 1 HP, they would click a button and they were at 220, and I feel like the way as fast as they picked up their gun, and this could be because of netcode, but I don't know, as fast as they picked up the gun, they were already at 220. That really made you work that much harder, especially with the netcode issue. You were dumping whole mags into players and you weren't killing them, so a lot of times I was getting caught reloaded and I freaking died. That was a little too much. 220 is a lot. First of all, that's like double the health. Second of all, it was too fast. Either the health regen was too fast or as fast as they could pick up the gun. I feel like that needs to change. Something about that needs to have a little bit of a detriment, that they can't just pop that in the middle of a gunfight and be able to win the gunfight. Cleaners, this one, the netcode really helped them. I don't agree with this ability at all. Incendiary rounds should not be a passive ability. You should not just be shooting incendiary rounds, whether it's the first 5 rounds, first 10 rounds at all. I can't deal with running around a corner and still dying because I'm on fire. I feel like if you want that in the game, I feel like it should just be an ability that's on a timer, a special mag for it, just the way that Modern Warfare 2019 had stopping power rounds. I feel like that's a good way to do that because it'll be balanced. It's not every gunfight you get in that somebody's being set on fire. Especially, and I've done it. I've used it. If I was shooting somebody and they were like, oh, okay, I'm gonna run around a corner, I'm gonna dip out, I'm gonna live to fight another fight, but now homeboy's on fire, so he died. Like, I felt dirty using that, bro. And I'm not saying people that use that are dirty. It's just how I felt. But I'm also the same dude that doesn't use meta weapons on purpose because I don't like doing that. To each their own. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. And the only reason I spent so much time explaining that I'm not judging is because it's 2023 and I want nobody coming at me. Irregardless, let's continue. Alright, so I forgot to put this in the good, so I'm just going to mention it here. The maps were really good. It has a really good flow. It has a really good layout. The reason I bring it up here in the bad is because, and I'm not asking for safe spaces. I can't stress that enough. I'm not asking for a little campy corner so I can put my little claymore down and watch you run by and go pew pew. Nah, homeboy. I do feel like it was hard for me to find a spot where I could isolate 1v1 gunfights. I feel like I got shot from multiple different angles so many times that it was hard to really go on a streak. Now, that could be me and my lack of map knowledge sometimes. Honestly, I felt like I knew the maps really well. Could be a skill issue. From the people that I've talked to and what I've seen, it's not just me, and I'm not asking for every part to be like just straight up lanes that you can't shoot across or you can't snipe and have these long range battles, but I feel like there was too many angles in one spot a lot of the time. And the reason I feel like that's a bad thing is because if you really look at Modern Warfare 2019, a lot of the areas had so many angles that it also caused people to camp. Now, the movement was one thing that you couldn't even get across as fast, so maybe that's why, and honestly, it is what it is. If they don't change anything, I'll adapt. It's not really that big of an issue. I know I wasn't the only one that had that issue where I felt like there was no way to isolate these 1v1s and live to fight another day, or like dip out after one. You know, I was getting shot from 2 or 3 angles. Now, this isn't a bad, it's just a suggestion. I do want a kill streak counter. If they don't want to add kill streaks, that's fine. I saw a lot of people asking for kill streaks. I just want to remind everybody that this isn't Call of Duty. I want a kill streak counter. If I'm going on a streak, I want to know exactly how much I'm getting, just because I feel like it's a good motivational boost. Like if I see 10, then I see 11 and 12 and 13, it's like, bro, I'm gonna keep going to the best of my ability because I kind of suck, but it is what it is. Now I'm gonna get into the suggestions for XDefiant that I feel like they need to continue or do to really be successful. Now, the main one that I'm gonna start with, they cannot wait too long to release this game. I understand and I know and experience that this beta was a true beta. It wasn't a marketing technique. It wasn't none of that. It was a true beta that there's work to be done. And we also know that Ubisoft servers aren't the best, so we'll see about that. You guys remember Siege? Yeah, I remember Siege. But XDefiant is really riding a high right now. It's riding a really big momentum. They had 1 million players on the beta, on a closed beta. It was a closed beta. They had 1 million players. They're riding such a high. Most of the community is so happy with this game. Most of the community is really, and one thing about keeping your community happy and communicating, there's less toxicity, and we could all use that. We all appreciate that. I feel like I could speak for everybody on that, but they cannot wait too long to release this game. I don't want them to lose momentum because they waited too long. Obviously, I don't want an unfinished product, and that's where the, you know, give and take really comes in. Unfortunately, that's really where it's like, when is really the right time? Hopefully they can get everything ironed out within maybe like 2 or 3 months. I'm not in game development, so I don't know how realistic that is. From a player standpoint and from the outside looking in, I really feel like that's the best way to go around it. That's the best time frame you could really shoot for. You know, Call of Duty is Call of Duty, so if you're really releasing your game too close to the window that they're going to release their CoD 2023 or whatever they're going to do, because rumors are flying left and right about it, I don't want them to lose out because of a bad release window. So hopefully they can release it very soon. I feel like it's going to be really beneficial to them. Next up, their esports. Their esports has to really be a main focus of this game. The game, while it is catered to both hardcore and casual players, it's a competitive game. At its core, it's a competitive game. It's all objective based, it's all team based, it's a competitive game. You don't have to play it very competitively or sweaty because there's no SPMM, which is very good. Everything right with that, there's nothing wrong with that. But the game itself is very competitive, allowing your esports to really run wild, run to the main stage, because this game can really be one of the big players in esports. It could be on CDL's level, it could be on VCT level, it could be on CSGO's level. They really need to push forward that stage, just the way that they did with Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege's esports is very like, it's so, that's also like another game that's like so entertaining to watch, doing a lot of things right. I love Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't played it in a while, but they really need to keep that same energy with esports. They really need to be like, hey guys, game's released 1 month in, 2 months in, okay, because ranked is gonna be there at launch. We already knew that. But 1 month in, 2 months in, they're gonna say, oh, this is what XDefiant has in plans for the esports. It's called XDefiant Arena, whatever, Arena Champions or whatever they want to call it, and really get themselves hyped. This is a suggestion. Valorant has released a beta for something called Valorant Premiere, where you have the ability to build your team and plug yourself into a VCT quote-unquote setting. There's seasons, you have weekly matches, tournaments, and playoffs, and it's really blurring the lines between the players and the pros. There's millions of really good players out there for every game, but there's only a handful of pros. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why, but I feel like I have to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not complaining about something, but there's nothing wrong with that. I just love the idea of Valorant giving the players something where they could showcase their skill, and XDefiant should have something like that. I feel like every game that should have something like that. You know, something like Pro-Am tourneys and things like that. That's really, honestly great. You're really gonna bring up a lot of players that are passionate about your community, passionate about your game, and really give them a platform to showcase their skills. Gaming isn't easy. Contrary to popular belief, gaming isn't easy. If you're doing really good in a game, you're talented. So I love the idea of allowing your players to do that, and XDefiant really should adopt that method. Now comes the answer to the question: can XDefiant compete with Call of Duty? For that, I'm gonna go to Stone Cold.
Give me a hell yeah! What? What?
You said it. So much similar, there's so much different, but the game itself is so much fun. It has its own identity, which is really great. As an arcade shooter, it's really going to be a top dog, and because Call of Duty is that top dog, there's going to be some serious competition, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Before I say my goodbye, I want to thank you guys for 70 subscribers. It makes me feel really good to see that number grow. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. If you're new to the channel, you haven't seen me before, please check out my other videos, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate that. It's a good motivator to continue making these videos because I do enjoy them, and I do enjoy seeing people enjoy them. And don't forget to let me know what you think about the XDefiant beta, whether you played it, watched it, or just heard people talk about it. Thank you.